Hello and welcome to our first broadcast of Business Daily. And coming to you live from Seoul, I'm your host, Lee Ji-yoon. Our Business Daily focuses on bringing you the latest business and finance news from Korea. And it's not just a show for experts, but anyone who's interested in staying on top of the country's leading business stories and understanding how they unfold. From this day on, we hope to meet you every morning with business news that are relevant to your everyday lives with a perspective unique to Arirang. And before we get started with the day's top stories, let's get a quick look at what you can expect from us this morning. This year's SEOUL Motorshow is in full swing, the perfect place to get a glimpse of some trendy smart cars. And big announcements from the Bank of Korea and Samsung Electronics are expected this week. Now, there's some good news for Korea's shipbuilding industry. Korean shipbuilders won the most new orders in the first quarter, reclaiming the top spot in the global market. According to Clarkson Research Services on Sunday, this is the first time in 3 years that Korea has outperformed China in first quarter figures. The country's shipbuilders took over 40% of the market share, with orders of more than 2.3 million compensated gross tons, or 60 vessels, followed by Japan and China. However, Clarkson said the world's shipbuilding orders overall shrunk by nearly 2/3 year-on-year. Korea's LG and Samsung Electronics have dominated the TV monitor market last year, making up more than 99% of the global sales volume. Market research company IDC says LG grabbed 53% and Samsung 46.2% in TV monitors, which can double as televisions and computer screens. The devices have been mostly popular with those living alone, and more households are buying TV monitors as their second televisions. The firm projected the market will further expand to 6.5% of overall screen purchases, up 0.7 percentage points from last year. And a new milestone in Korea. Online sales in 2014 have exceeded sales in brick-and-mortar stores for the first time. According to Statistics Korea and Korea Customs Service, online transactions, including purchases from foreign websites, tallied up to $43.2 billion, $200 million more than sales at offline retailers. Year-on-year growth from online operations was more than fivefold of chain mega stores, and purchases on mobile platforms recorded the largest jump at nearly 126%. The SEOUL Motorshow is underway here just on the outskirts of the capital. Despite concerns of being overshadowed by the New York Motor Show in full swing, the event has drawn in many car enthusiasts with new models and concept cars on display. Our Kim Min-ji takes us to the event and finds out what's creating all the buzz.
The glitz and glamour of the latest automobiles and their futuristic features are sure to get the heart pounding at this year's SEOUL Motorshow. Under the theme Experience the Technology, Feel the Artistry, local and foreign brands are showcasing models that fuse cutting-edge trends and sophisticated designs, giving viewers a peek into the future. Cars that boast the looks and horsepower of a sports car without the gas guzzling and exhaust emissions have garnered praise as next-generation vehicles. The majority of concept cars on display have also minimized the size of side mirrors or done away with them completely, replacing them with cameras to enhance fuel efficiency by reducing air resistance.
The EOLED boasts all the advantages of an electric vehicle. It can drive up to 100 kilometers on 1 liter of fuel.
Others have incorporated state-of-the-art technology to make vehicles more driver-friendly. Touchpads have been installed next to the steering wheel of this car to allow drivers to operate the infotainment system. Foreign brands are also making a big splash. The Mini Superleggera Vision concept and BMW i8 both made their first appearance in Korea. Now, if that's not enough, some are pushing the limits in autonomous driving. Hyundai Motor is hoping to make driving like this possible in Korea from 2020, which will mark the first time a local automaker has used the feature. Developments of technologies that enable vehicles to stay within a lane, give warnings if the car in front gets too close, and in emergency, activate an automatic braking system are underway.
The driver assistance system allows the driver to better see the surrounding environment. It can also prevent accidents in case the driver is inattentive.
Perched in the top 5 of the world's biggest car producers, Korea has become an important testbed in the global auto industry, with over 30 brands displaying some 370 cars at this year's show. Organizers expect a staggering 650,000 people to attend the 10-day motoring extravaganza and for the show to have an economic impact of over $200 million. 김민지, Arirang News.
So there you have it, but do go check it out yourselves if you get a chance, because great cars are a lot better looking in real life than in pictures. And again, for those of you thinking about going, the SEOUL Motorshow will go on until this Sunday at 킨텍스 in Gyeonggi-do Province. These days, the latest gadgets need to do just more than function optimally. They need to be eye-catching enough to attract consumers, which is why more and more tech companies are turning to the fashion world to market their products. And our Kwon So-ah tells us that some of the latest gadgets decided to jump onto the runway.
Smartphones on the runway? That's right. Before their official global launch on April 10th, Samsung Electronics Galaxy S6 and Galaxy S6 Edge made a noticeable appearance at Seoul Fashion Week. The designs and colors for the clothing on display at the show were created with inspiration from the gadgets. Here, the phones aren't being presented as mere accessories, but as a must-have fashion necessity.
We hope that the combination of IT products and fashion will give customers an opportunity to see the design for the Galaxy S6 in a fresh way.
Fashion is becoming a key element in the IT sector, with wearables like smartwatches crossing into the realm of high-end fashion. LG Electronics and Apple have both put more effort into the look of their new smartwatches to make them more eye-catching and wearable on a daily basis, not a fad to be tucked away after a short time.
These days, IT companies have to embrace what their regular customers' fashion values regarding style and design are.
Industry watchers say the heavy emphasis on fashion in the IT sector will continue, with companies marketing their products as must-have items for the fashion-conscious consumer in order to spur demand for the newest smart devices. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
There's a lot happening on the business and economic front this week, and to walk us through some key agendas that could influence Korea's market figures, our Arirang News Chief Economic Correspondent Song Ji-sun joins us in the studio. Welcome to the show, Ji-sun.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, so I hear that we have a lot on our plate this week. First of all, big announcements expected from Samsung Electronics and the Bank of Korea.
Right, and let's start with Samsung Electronics, which is the biggest company in Korea in terms of market capitalization, and they have set to release their figures of earnings on Tuesday morning. Now, the Korean stock market was hit with an earnings shock in the third quarter of last year when Samsung logged its lowest earnings in 3 years, with slumping profitability in the smartphone segment. Well, to the market's relief, it rebounded in the fourth quarter, but that recovery was mostly driven by the semiconductor sector, which accounted for more than half of its total profit.
Well, you know, Samsung has been losing much of its smartphone shares to a Chinese smartphone maker and of course, Apple. So I hear that Samsung's hoping to turn the tables this time.
Right, Samsung as well as other Korean companies are stuck in the nutcracker situation between those American and Japanese manufacturers and the cheap Chinese products. And of course, second half of last year was very bitter for Samsung as Apple tied it as the world's largest smartphone seller in the fourth quarter with its large-screen iPhone 6 and the Plus model selling like hotcakes. Now, Samsung is poised to fire back with its ambitious Galaxy S6 and the curved S6 Edge models set to go on worldwide release on Friday. Now, this order for the new flagship models will help Samsung post higher earnings in the first quarter this year at over $5 billion and possibly up to $7 billion in the second quarter. And market researchers forecast Samsung to ship out 50 million S6 and the S6 Edge models this year alone.
Well, let's keep an eye on that big release on Friday. But shifting our gears, what can we expect from the Bank of Korea's policy meeting this month?
Well, the Bank of Korea holds a monthly monetary policy meeting every second Thursday of the month, and this year all eyes are on its revised growth outlook for 2015. Now, usually the attention is on its decision on the key interest rate, but that is not the case for this month, as the BOK just slashed the rate to a record low of 1.75% last month.
Okay, so you're saying the Bank of Korea is likely to leave the key interest rate untouched for the time being?
Right, that is the market consensus at the moment. And if the BOK does decide to cut the rate, that will be likely in the latter month of this first half or later in this year, and not for 2 consecutive months in advance, as they have already considered the slowing growth when they cut the rate last month.
I guess what matters more now is the revised growth outlook from the BOK.
Right, Korea's GDP growth for the first quarter will be announced later this month. But as you can see in the graph, the pace of expansion has been slowing down from the second quarter of last year. And if you take a closer look at the growth on a quarterly basis, it's only inching up in the 0% range, and which is hinting closer to deflation, with inflation indexes also dipping by the month. Now, based on this, it looks like the bank is highly likely to slash the growth outlook as we expected.
Okay, so you're saying that the Bank of Korea is likely to cut its growth outlook again.
Right, the BOK has been slashing the rate from last year and is likely to do that again this month by at least 0.2 percentage points this month in April to the low 3% range, if not further down in the high 2% range. Now, with domestic demand already lagging behind and exports have been dropping as well during the first 3 months of this year from the corresponding month last year, and the trade surplus has only been made possible due to falling imports on the back of falling oil prices.
All right, well, we were quite surprised by that rate cut last month, and I guess we'll have to wait and see what kind of projections they're going to put out, right?
Right.
All right, thanks for coming in today, and do keep us updated on those throughout the week.
For sure.
All right, that wraps up our first broadcast of Business Daily. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow, so don't forget to tune in again right here on Arirang. Thanks for watching.